This, all seriousness, was the first day of reporting and practice that really got me hyped. I felt like the information that came out today, and a lot of it, helped me put my finger on the pulse of some things. Some things very clearly, some things trending in a certain direction. Still a long way to go. But there is so much news today. I don't really like write a script. I don't. I just put the stuff on here and I go over it, you know. So, but I try to keep things succinct as I can. So I'm going to do my best, but there's so much stuff to go over here about the practice today, about the quote unquote rule enforcement, codification, adjustment, however you want to look at it, of the cheat motion that we've been using to a great deal of success. And the San Francisco 49ers using to great success. And I think some of it's getting misconstrued. I think there's one key lock-on point, but that's a really interesting point, along with this other stuff, tons of other stuff, guys. So I'm definitely going to put the chapters in here. Maybe I'll break it up. I don't know how long it's going to go. I'm going to do my best. So that's it, guys, for today. I'm going to be doing... Football's moving over there. I'm going to be doing the live on Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Come join me there. I'm going to talk about this and probably all the things that are coming up big tomorrow to add to this. I'm working on getting an interview with Al from 3 Yards Per Carry. I'm really looking forward to that. So that's the stuff that's coming up, okay? So out of practice today, there's a bunch of players out of practice along with the usuals that are, you know, on a PUP. Jonnu Smith, Easy, Ahmed, Brown, the center, Ireland Brown, Jordan Poyer, Neville Gallimore, D tackle, Anthony Walker Jr., LB, and Cam Smith. And so those guys are out. And Jonnu Smith's dealing with something, and there's a rotational system with him and Smythe. You don't know what it is. You hope it goes away quickly. He's got to play a physical role. He's important for us, and it's important we get out of the gate hot. So I don't know what's going on with what the deal is, but it's not the greatest thing. Easy, I'll get into it later, but it don't look good for him. It looks like this was just something that's not going to come together for us. Ahmed, I don't think he's making a team anyway. Ireland Brown, I don't think he's making a team. Poyer had the hand thing to keeping him out. I don't know if it's anything serious. Maybe it's not. You don't want your older players to get injured, but it's probably just a little something to milking. Gallimore, who knows? Maybe just a vet rest day. Anthony Walker, maybe a vet rest. We're going to see. And then Cam Smith. This is bad news. They say he's going to appear sometime in the preseason in August. This is not trending in the right direction. It doesn't mean for the end of the thing here that he's going to be a bust, but still, that's not a good sign. So that's the whole deal. Now, greatest news ever. I've been saying this for a while. Storm duck sightings are starting to happen. Even Al from 3 Yard Carries put a thing out there. He was like, what is this storm duck guy? Broke up a pass in the red zone for touchdown. I just love the guy's name, Storm Duck, man. I have dreams of getting on this stupid microphone and in front of you guys going, Storm Duck had a great day. I love that name. It's just fun to say. And, you know, sometimes you just want stuff to be fun. And I love this guy. I hope he's making it. Hill, no holdout. I said he's not going to hold out. He knows he can't hold out. Dolphins can't do anything. They're not going to do anything. Next year, the juncture is the offseason. That's where he'll put the skids on. He's no holdout. We know that. Whatever. Phillips still working. And you can see he's getting there, but I haven't got some good looks at his calves yet. I don't know how the size is coming to parity, but this guy is such a good dude. He was working 45 minutes after practice, still putting it together. I mean, I would love to meet this guy. I just think he's a good dude. You know, some people I know, the Dolphin fans that, you know, comment, they weren't high on him. Maybe they didn't like this or whatever. But this kid's grown so much. He puts it together. It's going to be unbelievable. But this kid, as a core person, a human being, is awesome. So he was putting the 45 minutes in. I still think, obviously, he's going to go on, you know, to PUP long-term. He'll be out for 4 games, maybe 6. I think after the bye weeks when you really will see him come back. I think they probably, after the 4 games, they get, I think it's like 21 days or something. So to put him on there, get him ready for after that bye week. Chubb, though, no running. And it looks like if he's not running now and Phillips is doing all this running, and he's still a couple of months off. What does that say for Chubb? I'm thinking Chubb is like a week 10, week 12 type arrival. But you never know. It's not a good sign, but you want these guys to come back healthy. So that's that. The snap thing disappeared. There wasn't any real snap issues that I saw reported, of course. We're going to swap it out for the full start thing. And if you know, I've done my studies of how we looked in the red zone or in the opponent's side of the ball, and we were constantly shooting ourselves in the foot with holding and sloppy play and negative plays. This false start stuff, they did all kind of blitzing today, and that can screw you up. So don't get crazy, but I would like to see a very clean day. The performances that I'm going to talk about, you have to understand in context. So certain players like Achane didn't have pads. He wasn't getting hit. Who guys are going against, you'll see, first stringers go against third stringers and a big play will come off. What does that mean? There's so much that goes into it. Positives are always positive, but you have to kind of cap those positives or negatives based on a context. So like an example, I'll get into two is movement skills, which is a big deal. And I've said that this guy can really utilize these movement skills. Of course, it does put him in the crosshairs for getting hit, getting hurt, and bringing back that injury concern. But he wasn't getting hit, so he'll run. He's not taking a hit. He'll throw the football and be like, oh, you'll see, oh, that was a big play. Meanwhile, the pass rusher was there and could have sacked him and hit him. So you got to keep that in your mind, okay? So that's what I just want to talk about. So there we go. Fortson is continuing to drop footballs. Kanatana. Funny here. Look at this. Omar Kelly. I could spell every Jalen correct for every guy with ease, but I can't remember Kanatana or Tanakana's name. Beep. I hate when players have two first names. I think I've been saying that for a little bit. But it's good that Kelly is... I don't feel alone in my inability to handle the Tanakana, but I think it's Tanakana. I don't know. I'll never get that thing right, I don't think. I will eventually. If he starts starting and making plays, I'll get it correct, and I'm sure Kelly will too. So Kamara got a sack. Remember, guys, I like Brian Cox. Some people compare him to Brian Cox. Brian Cox was 6'4", 250. He's 6'1". He's got kind of shorter arms. He's got strengths. He's got weaknesses. It's going to take time to pull it together. This system we got where you could blitz guys and put guys into their position where their skill set is best utilized is good. I still think you're hearing talk that Chop and Kamara are still not able to set their edge. They're not going to be able to for a while. I mean, what that while is, it could be first week of season, maybe the start of season, maybe next year. I don't know. But Kamara is starting to pop a little bit. I was getting concerned because I didn't see any popping, but we're starting to see a little pop, and that's good. These guys are going to have a ways to go, and Weaver understands it because he played. He's very hands-on, and that's the reports. He's hands-on on everything. And so because this defense is the way it is, and there's one of the reasons why the Flores or this style of defense is so good, because you're kind of got this thing, and it's not a stable thing like, say, the Fangio thing or the Tampa 2 or something like that. You could kind of alter things. So if a guy struggles at, say, run blocking, you could blitz that gap next to him, and then it's a 2-for-1, and then the Kamara can then engage, and then you get a little pull on that blocker from the blitz, and then he can shave off. And so there's things you could do to compensate for guys, whether it's the pass game or the run game. That's the beauty of the Weaver system, or prior to this, the Flores system. It's one of the bad things about the Fangio system, but then there's also strengths about the Fangio system. Got it? So this is good news, but it's a long way to go. Brooks. I feel like I'm like Alf's cheerleader, but he's made the call. I kind of was in the middle, maybe towards a little bit of the lower end side, but he keeps popping every day. Every day he's still delivering. And whatever the context is, no pads, the guy, certain guys you can't hit, whatever. Maybe for me, I would say this offensive line ain't hot to trot, especially without Tehran. And if if you're a big Win fan, Win's not there. But when you're popping every day and you're the Mike, and you're the Dolphins who haven't had a complete Mike, this is very good. This is good news. So I like it. I like how he's trending. I'm still not sure about the ceiling, as Al thinks, but we'll see. We'll get there. But this is as good as it gets. All right. So before I get into the rest of the stuff, I'm going to get into Tua's moments, his movement, understanding what's going on with that. It's very big. It's very big. And then I'm going to get into the offensive line. There's a lot of great stuff. I mean, like straight on stuff about Paul and a bunch of the other guys. It's starting to become very, very, very clear and curious. Clear and curious. And the curious part I really am into. And then I'm going to get into some of the receiver stuff and then the cheat motion. I told you it's going to be a long one today. But guys, the likes, the subscribes, the comments, the views, all that stuff keeps me in the biz. I got to keep that going in order for my sponsors to keep me here. I love to do this. If you love me doing this, please keep that up. Subscribe, like, comment. If you subscribe, hit the notification bell. Because without you, without my sponsors, there's no way in hell this show is going down. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. This offense has been restricted by a few things. Tua's ability, if you watched my coverage for a while, they would run sting blitzes, outside blitz, you just sting and attack the quarterback. And year one, it was just ugly. Like 1 or 2 would work, but mostly it was just ugly. And then it got better and it got better. And then it was okay. And then he got the injuries and he gained the weight. And then it wasn't good for his rollouts, but then he was able to. There was one, there's a bunch of them where they would sting blitz him, free runner, and he would do the spin or the move, and he'd make something happen. But that was at like 20 pounds heavier. Now that he's lighter, you're hearing reports of him moving faster, accelerating faster. And when you add in his short area movement, and he's evaded a lot of these sting blitzes, a lot of these free rushers, now you add the lighter Tua, and you're going to get a lot of stuff. He was climbing the pocket, escaping out of the pocket and picking up yards. And there were some plays where he'd make a move and he'd get the ball off. But again, guys, sometimes it would be a sack and they let it go. And then other things, he's climbing the pocket, but he's not getting hit. And so this is very good news for the ceiling of what this kid can do, what this offense can do, because you get Hill in motion. You run the play action, and if he's a little quicker and these guys have to play out a little wider or bend out a little wider, then it's going to open stuff for the back motion. It's going to open up for him to climb up. And if they don't, then he could break out to the side, and people are like, oh, Tua can't throw the out. But if you watch him escaping on planned outs, when he rolls out, he gets some nice plays on that. And he's with the agility, he's able to turn his hips, turn his shoulders, and deliver that football. And if you got Tehran there, it kind of creates a freedom. And that extra movement can do a lot of stuff, along with things breaking down on the side, him climbing up in a pocket. Instead of him waiting, just escape and pick up your 5 or 6. So a lot of good stuff in this, but he's not getting hit. And when he gets hit, it's going to test the greatest fear a lot of us have, his health. And there's no way it's not going to test that, because once you get on the move, you get hit. Even when you just fall on the ground a bunch of times, that stuff can accumulate when you're not a guy. Guys, say, oh, well, the quarterbacks, too soft. If you're not, why do we take all these hits when we play a game or professional football players to get into week one? Is because the body gets acclimated. Quarterbacks don't get that for the most part. And so even falling to the ground over the course of the season adds the bumps and bruises. And so it's going to test his health. So this is a very good for the ceiling, but then it's going to test that very linchpin problem that he's got. And so if he can get through this season healthy, and then this asset can increase his potentiality and production on the field, look out. So offensive line, I thought was extremely interesting. Guys, remember, there's a lot of coach talk. These guys were told not to talk about Tua's contract. They're told to say certain things. Kelly reported this. Heavy hitters, big maulers like Rob Johnson, Benito Jones on what he's seen from the guards. He also mentioned Liam Eichenberg. Jones is getting rave reviews of his camp. The guy is a hitter and a mauler. Eichenberg is not, okay? That is like not real. But Rob Robert Jones is a guy I've talked about who should have started over Eichenberg. There was contention on who should have started last year and the year before. It's pretty obvious that Robert Jones should have been starting over Eichenberg. Doesn't mean he's going to. But this is going to create a very interesting piece because I don't know. I'll get into Wynn. Wynn's still battling things out. You got a month before, just over a month for week one. And so you could get Robert Jones and Eichenberg starting. And they're going to definitely start over Driscoll or Cotton. But Wynn, if he's not back soon, his body's not going to get acclimated to the hits. It's not just about him knowing the offense. This guy has an injury history. And if he's not getting his body acclimated, it's only going to increase the chances of him going down, which are already very high. And so it's likely to be he'll be a maybe back up to start over till he gets his body acclimated. I don't know. We'll see. If he's not back soon, I think they're going to do it. So you'll have Robert Jones and you'll have Eichenberg. But if Wynn comes back and you have Eichenberg, who I think is going to make the team. I think he's going to start, although I don't think he should. Robert Jones should, because if you had Hunt there last year, the closest thing to Robert Hunt would be Jones in his ability to be physical, his ability not to be bull rush, his ability to drive block. But if he has a great camp and then Eichenberg starts, it's kind of curious. And you saw that Butch Barry came running out and bumping his chest when he had a play or two that was good. I don't know. To me, this says a lot about who's in charge, the mindset of the people in charge. We'll see. But that is a very, very critical thing. Lamb struggled today. Whatever, that's not a big deal. They added the blitzes and, but you're going to have Teron, you're going to have Jackson, you're going to be Lamb. Lamb is clearly the third guy. People are very, very high on Paul. I am very high on Paul. But if you looked at Barry's take on where he's at, and you look at it, it's very clear what should be very clear. He ain't playing guard. There's no way. It is not happening. Barry said this. They asked him, how long will it take to get to Paul to get down, everything down? A long time, Barry said. You don't have to have it all figured out to play on the field. There has to be a point where, yes, you have enough awareness. Asked what will qualify a good training camp for Paul. Barry said, number one, understanding fundamentally how we want to approach a pass block. Second, the run game. How do I attack defenders? I think that's a great camp. Is it based on production results? No, at some point we'll all know that matters, but not for training camp at this point. And what Barry's saying, to me, it looks pretty much, this kid is a guy who needs to get the fundamentals down. And when those come into play, then he'll have a chance to get to the field. And if he produces well, then that's going to create the avenue for him to not only start, but succeed. And so, a lot of us talked about how, trash time. He comes in. He's got the fundamentals down. You get him his confidence, get to see some success where it's not the full pressure. And that would be a good season. This preseason is about him getting set for next year. There's no way the Dolphins want him starting. You got 3 quality tackles, Teron, Jackson, that's what you want to say, but Teron's got his injury history. Jackson's got flaws in his game. Lamb is a vet who's got a pretty good pass blocker, not so much of a run blocker. But these are 3 pieces that fundamentally work for what we like to do. And then you got Paul. Keon Smith's not making it. Keon Smith gets beaten like a drum. I don't see him making it. Practice squad. So those are the 3 guys. And clearly I think that Butch Barry is telling us Paul is a project. But that's not bad. It's okay. If the project turns out to be a beautiful project next year or later in the season, who cares? As long as it ends up right. And with Jackson and with Eichenberg, they started too early. And I said, when you get in and you're not able to handle your opponent, you cheat and build bad habits, and bad habits build bad techniques. But if you get in there and you set up right, you build up good techniques, which builds a good production and a good career. And that's the key for this kid. He's a good kid. He's a smart kid. He's a big piece to the puzzle. Okay, so OBJ still out. We signed Snead. Does that mean OBJ is not getting himself healthy quick enough? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe you just need another guy to practice. Craycraft has been doing excellent catching, blocking. It's going to be hard not to sign this guy to the 53. Easy, I don't see it. I mean, Easy, he had a bad neck problem, was misdiagnosed. He hasn't done anything. He's missing all kind of time. He's injured. And it hurts because him and Tyndall, we could have had Zach, Tom. Instead, we went with Easy and Tyndall. That hurts. Zach Tom at 3rd and 4th round is about as easy a home run swing or chance at a home run swing as it gets. I'm not Monday morning quarterback. If he was here, he was in our house. We interviewed him. I raved about him. His metrics were insane. The potentiality for this guy was insane. We went with Easy and Tyndall, and neither one are panning out. Doesn't mean career sucks. It doesn't mean, I'm not saying he doesn't, but I'm saying he doesn't. You know, sometimes you do that, but that was a clear miss. And to have Easy and Tyndall both fail, it kind of makes it sting more. But that's what it is. Washington had some drops. I like this kid, but I think he's kind of not in a pool of developmental thing. I think he's just not ready yet to take big-time stuff. He'll come in for spot duty and develop. I think this guy's got loads of potential. But Craycraft really looks good, and a question about OBJ's health. But Easy looks like he's on the ropes. And then the last part I want to get into is the cheat motion. All right, so they've kind of added these rules now where the cheat motion, it's the same thing as last year. Nothing's changed except the Eye of Sauron, the refs, are now looking at it, and they have a codified set of rules that you have to be going parallel to the line of scrimmage, and you can't begin to make forward motion before the snap. And you're like, well, no, duh. But what happens is you can see it over and over again. Before the snap, guys are breaking forward. Even if you're going like this, that's a penalty. And now with the codification of what is what, the NFL is saying, hey, look, this is something we want to have the refs look at. Once they start looking at it, they're going to start calling penalties. And it's going to force, all it's going to force is Hill, Waddle, OBJ, Jonnu Smith, just to pause a slight second before the snap and not, if you're, when the snap of the ball, you start going a little too early, you can get that penalty. And you might not get it right now, but it could be a big penalty at some point where they're like, okay, hit it here. So you're going to have to be a little cautious and wait for the snap before you make the break. And it will give a little fraction of a second more for the defense, not too much. But what it will do is possibly, if we break too early and we're not disciplined, get the penalty to screw us, because the Eye of Sauron, also known as the refs, are mercurial. One day it could be this, one day it could be that. You could rip a guy's pants down and tackle and put handcuffs on him, and they don't call a holding call. And the next day you pull on his jersey and it's a holding call. This just adds more soup for these refs, who I don't really trust, to get involved. And so I think it's going to be up to the San Fran, whoever else is using it, because Bills are using it, the cheat motion now, going to use it in a run game, and the Dolphins, just to be a little cautious and a little patient. But if you fall into bad habits, it could be the moment where you get the penalty to screw you. So that's really all I think it is. I don't think they got rid of the cheat motion. They made cheat motion really cheat. But if you're cheating like we do, and a lot of other people do, before the snap or at the snap, you're going this way, it could just be a problem. So I think that's the whole deal. I just think we're going to have to be a little more patient. And then Hill talked about how, okay, yeah, they might be prepared for this, but we got this new stuff we're going to add. It's going to be a wow factor. Last point on that is we rely too much on all this finesse and schematic victories. And yeah, it might help us in those key few games or first half of the season for teams to catch up, but they always catch up every year. They get caught, we blow teams out, they figure it out, and because we can't just smash people in the face, against the good teams that all that little finesse and smoke and mirror stuff doesn't play out exactly the way we want. So it's great that we have some cheats in there to get those early victories and some wow stuff together with the rest of the wow stuff, because you have a lot of wow stuff over 3 seasons. It puts more on the table for the defense to pay attention to. But at some point, you just got to go, you know what? Bang, I'm taking this. And if we can't do that, our ceiling is going to be limited. But if we have all this wow emotion, smoke and mirror stuff, and then we can punch a team in the face here and there, that's when we become superstar status. That's when we can go really far. And so it'll be very exciting to see. So the cheat motion's not cheated. We got some wow stuff coming according to Hill, but we still need to punch somebody in the face to get where we want to go. And that will be very interesting to see. I think if we put Robert Jones at right guard, it will help us a lot more. Just me. Anyway, guys, really good day today. Really excited. I got so much more to talk about, but it's got too long probably. Anyway, so Curtis saying, be well, go Fins. Curtis out. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.